Today with Christine's hair, we're going to be working on the new being rubbered technique, using the Rusk Rubbers to create a real irregular, loose, funky kind of texture all through the interior. Now, those of you that are familiar with using the Rusk technique will find this pretty easy to adjust to. And some of you who are maybe doing this for the first time, it'll just take a little bit of practice. But this technique, essentially, with Christine's hair, we're going to be working with a series of 8 ponytails all around the top of her head. And this will give us a real short, long, like an extreme version of the extreme texturizing cutting. So beyond the alpha blades, beyond the extreme texturizing, then you have the ponytail technique. And this gives us some real great long and short and irregularity throughout any of the haircuts that we're going to do today. So I'm going to start by taking a zigzag section all through the top of her head. And this just helps us part this hair from a zigzag area so it's not just a straight section. So you just want to get a real irregularity through these ponytail sections. So it's good to start with the zigzag section all through the top area here. And the back of Christine's hair is already short. She already has this cut a little bit shorter through the back. So this we're going to use, obviously we're not going to work this into a ponytail, just keeping the ponytails up through this area and keeping this really nice and flat. So this technique can be used on anything if you're working with hair that's already short. We're going to be working with some longer hair, some mid-length hair, and it just works really, really fantastic. So sectioning this off into these little kind of diamond sections, and then we're going to be just putting this in a ponytail with the rubbers, the Rusk Rubbers. Just make this nice and secure. So you have these little kind of diamond irregular sections all over the top of her head. And then the next one here on this side, we're going to take this straight down to the ear. And then pull everything up. Now when you're working like this, you want to be thinking of exactly where you want to have longer pieces and shorter pieces. So through this front area, we want to retain some length through the front, through our bang area. So you can see here we've pulled this hair back, which allows the hair to fall down. And the same here on this section, we've pulled the hair back to here and also up from the ear area, allowing us to keep the length through the sides. So you want to have a fairly good idea of exactly how you want to have the hair to look in the end, or at least where you want to have length and shorter pieces and more extreme texture, because then that allows you to decide where you want to put the ponytails, how close to the hairline you want to have them. And see these little pieces at the side here, they fall out, just let them fall out by themselves. If you wanted to take this short through the front, then we would take this section here and pull it further to the front so that you take this very short here. So you have lots of different options working with the ponytails. Slice this off at the ear again. So we want to pull this up high enough to retain the length that she has at the side, and pull this down through this top section here so that we can retain that length, so that we have shorter pieces back here and then longer pieces through the side. So each time you take a section, where you have the rubber band is where the shortest point of that section is going to be. So whether you're going to cut it short to the rubber band, like this, or if you're going to be working with the gamma blades like we are to texturize all of this, then you still have those shorter pieces. So you see here, we're obviously going to have shorter pieces here, longer pieces here. So it gives you a really nice irregularity throughout the whole haircut. And it's a really nice, fresh, funky, modern way to cut anything that you're going to have layers in. Whether Christina already has a few layers in there, but even if she didn't have any layers, this is really, really easy to do. And once you know where you want to put all these bands, then it's very, very easy. Once you get all the bands in, then it's easy then to cut the hair in the bands. And this one up at the top here, I want to pull this right up into the center. So you have nice positioning all over the top of the head. This gives you great texture. And it's really, really fun to cut like this. And like I said earlier, those of you who are familiar with working with the Rusk cutting technique, that are familiar with working with the texturizing blades, working with the extreme texture technique, then this will be really easy to adapt to. If you've never worked with the Rusk cutting technique or the alpha or the gamma or the beta blades, then you might want to get familiar a little bit with working with texturizing blades before you start this. Just pulling all of these, just making sure, even although you want to have the irregularity, you want to make sure you have the balance through the interior of the haircut. So for instance, in this back area here, right now there is no balance because you have this one down here and then this one's way over here. So you definitely need to get another one in this area and probably in this area too, just to balance this out. So here where we have this hair just above the ear, just want to section this. And then we'll do one more in the back, just in this area here. Again, just make sure you have no straight lines. You don't want to have a line straight across the back here. Just put that into a little triangular shape, little diamond shape. And then keep all of this hair down here. We really don't want to take very much off this. We'll probably break this up a little bit with our gamma blades. But this length's kind of working nice. You don't want to put this into ponytails because this is too short. and working around the nape area. When you're working with hair this short, then you're best to work with the natural hairline rather than putting it into a ponytail. So this is all of our ponytails completed before we start to cut. We're going to be keeping most of the length, taking a little bit off the length of each ponytail, but working with our gamma blades, which are the texturizing blade, so that we can create a lot more texture and the hair be more torn looking through the ends rather than with any kind of solid lines. So working with the gamma blades, we'll start through this this area here. Now you can see we're not working with a comb, just spreading this out with our fingers, just like this, so that we separate all of that here. And then just starting to work with our gamma blades, so that you really break all of that hair up, not really taking much off the length here. Then you can see how you have all that great separation, kind of like a fan. Just break all of that texture up. So the same again with this one. So you just separate it, squeeze it through the root area, just through the end, where the band is, just above the band of the ponytail. You just want to squeeze that so that you separate all of this hair. And then just start to break that up with the gamma blades. Right through to the ends. So you can see how you have all those great long, short pieces, but more torn, rather than working with the gamma blades here are perfect for this texture to create this torn look. This real funky kind of torn texture rather than a chunky woven texture with the alpha blades. So see how you get this great separation through all of this here. You want to keep them like this so they look like kind of pineapples. So this one here, push this, squeeze it through the ends and break it up. Make sure you have no solid lines. Just pull all of that so you get all of that hair out, and just keep moving it around so that you can see if you need to take any more weight out. Keep that like that. I'm working through the top area here. Squeeze this. Separate this out, and so you can see when this all kind of fans out like a pineapple or a flower or a palm tree, when it all breaks up, then that's just perfect how you want it to be. You don't want to have any weight where the hair will fall to any solid line or any weighted area. I want to keep some longer pieces through this area here, so that when this falls down just in behind the ear, we have some nice kind of wispy pieces here. So you just always want to be thinking about the haircut when you're cutting. You still have to know exactly how you want it to be. Through the back area here. And our last one through the side. And then we just want to work again with our gamma blades, just through this back area here. Not very much. We want to keep the shape that she has, just kind of texturize this so that this lays nice and flat. Just through the very bottom, the nape area. So you really want this to look kind of uncut. You'd never want it to look like she's just had a haircut, just freshly cut. So you see this kind of look here when you have all these sprouty kind of ponytails. Now depending on what length you want to have it, you can have these ponytails shorter or longer. If you were going to have them longer, obviously you wouldn't take as many ponytails as these because there wouldn't be any point, but you could certainly take them shorter to have a shorter, funkier look. But here we really want to really work on this kind of torn texture, so keeping this length but really working with the gamma blades. So now we want to take those bands out. Let's pull them out with the comb. Pull them out with the edge of your comb. And last one through the back. And then we want to just shake all of this out. So you can see we still have these great longer pieces through this back here, but a lot lighter, a lot more texture all through the interior, keeping the length through the front so you have these nice chunky kind of bangs. And that would just be fantastic, all this great torn kind of texture all through the interior will just work fantastic when we start to style this. Okay, so I'm now going to be using the new Being gum, which is an incredible new gum type product, which will really give us incredible texture and allow us to really alter the texture of Christine's hair. Now, having worked with the gamma blades and created all this torn texture with the haircut, we're now able to really alter the hair texture. Using this gum will give us a really pliable, workable, shiny, funky kind of texture. Lots of shine, lots of movement, a lot of control, a really awesome look. And Being with the Tri-X complex and the Fenugreek, it really allows us to give us an incredible look, funky look, but still working to create healthy hair and healthy scalp from roots to ends, which is really, really important with Being. So you can take care of your hair, have great healthy hair, but also have an incredible, funky, awesome look. So you can see the more you start to use this, you can really make the hair do absolutely anything. Now, Christine has kind of fine hair, and we've worked with the gamma blades to really lighten all of that up, if we wanted, we're able to get this hair to stand on end. Now, obviously you're not going to want that for everyone, but you have that option, which is an incredible option. So working this all through the lengths and ends, and just working that hair into position. And then we're going to start to dry. You can see we've got this real kind of funky, chunky, irregular, loose, real modern kind of shape. Nice and loose all through the back area. Easy to do, easy quick haircut. It'll just look really fantastic on Christina. Okay, so we're going to start blow drying here and really stretching all of this hair out. I'm working with the Rusk Engineering vent brush, and we're going to stretch all of this straight out. Really, really rough texture. I don't really want any volume through the root area. Just stretching that right through to the very ends. And this is really important when you take all of the time to texturize this hair so carefully through to the very ends. It's really important that you dry this out to the very ends, because we don't want any bend in this, any wave. We want to stretch this out so that we get a really kind of really rough, undried kind of texture. So once we've completed drying with the brush, and then shake this out with the dryer on hot, high heat, and then we want to turn it to cool, and this really helps to set the texture that you've created working with the gum. So you see we've got all this great, straight, spiky, torn, really kind of modern, funky kind of texture. So below this with some cool air just to set it. And then we just want to finish off again using being rubbered, the gum, and just work this all through the lengths and ends. And you can see this gives you an incredible, incredible texture, incredible shine in the hair. Really modern separation all through those torn textures, which just is a really, really great look. Just pull all of these pieces out. And we've got all of these nice lengths to work with, but because we've worked with the gamma blades and the ponytails, we have shorter pieces and longer pieces, nice torn thin ends, so it really allows you to work with it and get that really irregular, funky kind of texture. Just really nice close in through the back area, working with the hairline that she has. And that's Christina being rubbered. With Cassandra's hair here, she actually has naturally curly hair, very curly hair. So for this look, we chose to blow dry our hair first of all, so that we could have it really smooth and straight. And we chose the Being Primitive product, which is a new clay, which really helps to thicken and texturize her hair. And this was perfect. She has quite a lot of hair, but it's quite fine, she has a lot of it, and naturally very curly. So we blew this dry so that we have much more control. She normally wears her hair straight, so it was a good idea to dry her hair straight before we cut it, since we're going to be creating a lot of texture. It makes it much easier to texturize her hair straight when it's straight than it does when it's curly. So here, using the Being Rubbered cutting technique, using the Being Rubbers, we want to pull all of this hair back into one ponytail up in the crown area so that we can texturize all of these longer pieces, taking the hair a little bit shorter through the lengths, but mostly texturizing this hair so that we can create a lot more texture and movement rather than all of this heaviness and bulk that we have through all of the interior here. So first of all, we're going to put this hair into the ponytail, and this is very easily done into one ponytail. Now we want most of our texture and layering in through the crown area, so we're going to position our ponytail through the crown area. If you wanted to have this shorter through the front area, then we could pull our ponytail further forward, but we want to keep the length that she has through the front, which is about this length. So we want to pull all of this hair back so that we can retain all of that length. And then working with the Being Rubbers band, just catch this up into a ponytail. And this is a very, very simple and fast technique for creating these great modern looks on longer hair. So you see now we have all this hair up here is what we want to texturize and cut. All of this hair here we want to keep. We don't want to work in through the root area, only on the lengths and ends of this hair. So I'm going to be using the new Rusk Gamma blades, which you can see here have the swivel thumb, which is perfect for keeping those elbows down, less wear and tear. And also, if you can see here, it has these tiny little holes all along the weaving blade here, or the thinning blade. And this really helps when you're working particularly with dry hair, but even on wet hair or thicker hair, this really helps when you're cutting to pull that through and get a really nice smooth sliding action, which makes it easier when you're slicing through the hair. So here on this ponytail here, we want to kind of section this off into a few pieces, maybe 3 with this length of hair. So just section this off through the front area. And we just want to start working with the gamma blades on the mid-lengths right through to the ends, creating texture all through that. Now we're not working with our blades down at the band area. You see we're holding this hair above the band, and you're maybe working about an inch or so from the band. But this is just the technique. You can work with these ponytails any way you like. Now remembering that this is the hair that's through the crown area, and this is the front part here. You want to create this nice textured kind of palm tree kind of effect. You don't want any single hairs like this up here, and you don't want any solid lines. Then working through to the side area here. Make sure you don't cut this area. Again, holding the hair just in a section and then working right out to the ends. You see how easy with the new Gamma blades, how easy it is to slice right through the lengths and ends of that hair. So you can see all that great texture, but a real modern texture that you're creating all through the lengths and ends. So the same on the last section. And see how easy that is, just to pull that right through to the very ends. And this is fantastic. Even on dry hair, you can see how easy this is to do. And then just shake all of the ponytail out. And you just want to check through that you have no solid lines through the end. And you have this nice, you know, like a pineapple or a palm tree, all really torn all through here. And I think this is, you know, you can really see this great. We lightened up some of the ends of Cassandra's hair, just so that you get that really nice kind of fur texture, like an animal skin or something furry, feathers or fur, like an animal skin. It just gives a really nice look. So that's our haircut completed. We just put one ponytail in, shatter all of the lengths and ends of the ponytail, and then simply take this out. And now you have all the texture that you want all through the interior of the haircut. You've retained all of the length. And you just have this great shape all through the interior, real modern length, no stop and start, no chunky pieces, just really, really modern. So now what we want to do is work again with the primitive clay. You can see this is a really nice, thick, chunky kind of texture. And rub this really well into your hands. Work this all through the hair, and this is what we blow dried the hair with. And then just adding more, so you're really layering on this kind of chunky, funky kind of texture. And then we're just going to take the dryer over this again, just to shape this, pull some pieces out through all of the interior. But really, this gives you a really great, sexy, chunky texture. And of course, with the being, and you have with the Tri-X formula and the burdock and the ivy, really helps to really promote this healthy hair, healthy scalp, but still give you this great sense of style, a modern chunky texture. So we just want to stretch this out. So having completed the blow dry with the clay, now what we want to do, I'm going to use the Rusk irons, and we just want to take some of the pieces that's straight enough, we just want to bend them just the opposite way in some places, straight down in some other places, so that we can get a real irregular kind of texture through here. So just pulling the top pieces down, and then just using the flat irons, but just twisting that round the opposite way. And this gives you a really great change of texture, because you've got all that torn here. And then if you can just use the flat irons on the end of your blow dry, and not on all the pieces to flip it out, but just some of the pieces, particularly through this middle area just above the ear. This just gives you a really great, you know, a nice dimension in that shape, rather than just all forward. You don't want to do it everywhere. You don't want to do it all at the same level. So just alternating where you start to twist that hair. So see, you just have one kind of higher up here, one a little bit lower, then higher again. And then when you shake this out, just gives you this real kind of funky texture. All these really nice pieces all through here. So having completed working with the flat irons, then just shaking this out, you can see we've got these great textures, this great shape, simple, one ponytail up through the crown, working with the primitive clay to dry this, and then just using the flat iron just to pull all these pieces out. Gives you this, it's just a layer upon layer of texture, the texture with the clay, the texture with the gamma blades, then the texture with more clay. So you're layering on this texture to give you this great new look for modern long hair. With Maggie's hair, again, she has naturally curly hair, so to cut this is much easier when you're creating a lot of texture, and she always wears her hair straight, to work with it already dry. So we blew this dry, again using the clay to give this more texture and kind of thicken up her hair. It's kind of fine, and then worked with the flat irons just to smooth all of this out. What we want to do now, working with the being rubber technique and the being rubbers, we're going to work again with a zigzag section through the front area. Taking a series of zigzag sections all across the top, and this just helps to integrate it rather than having a straight parting. Pull all of this hair back, and we're going to be working with 2 ponytails through either side of the crown. And what we want to do is create some layers through the back area, keeping it heavier through the front and just really nice and loose through the very bottom. So get this into the area, then just working with the bands, the rubber bands. Just slip this into the ponytail, secure that. And then this makes it easier Then to work with that section of hair, the same on the other side, pull all of this back. Then working through this back area here, we just want to take a series of smaller zigzag sections, because this hair here won't go into the ponytail. We want to keep that out, create a little bit different texture and control this length through here, and then drop all of the texture over the top. Then just again, secure that with your band, your being rubber band. And then this makes it very easy, very quick, simple to do this haircut. So you can see you have this series of zigzag sections, large zigzag sections across the top here, purely just to create some integration with the longer and the shorter hair, so that you don't have a solid straight parting through the top, because you're going to be creating shorter and longer lengths all through here. And then just a series of smaller zigzag sections through this back area here, just again so that you don't have a solid line. And we want to create a little bit more texture, controlled texture through this back area. We want to have a less controlled, more chaotic texture all through this interior. So again, like the extreme version of the extreme texture. So working with our straight blades, just starting through this back area here. So just working through the back here, so that we can just create a more solid line through the perimeter. Working with the length that she already has. And this just gives us a little bit more control. And working with our delta blades, the swivel thumb delta blades. Okay, and now we're going to start to work through the ponytails. So combing this up, straight up, we're going to first of all remove some of the length up through the top here with our delta blades, the straight blades, because we really don't need all of this length here. When you're working with the ponytails, you have to remember, when you're pulling all of this hair through the front, and you pull this all the way back and then all the way up to this length here, you have to remember that you're going to have this extended length of hair, not just this length here. So you have to imagine that you have this length, which goes down past the chin, and then the length that you're going to be cutting it from the ponytail. So always look sometimes that this is going to be quite short, because you're working just from this length of the ponytail, but you've got to remember where you've dragged it from. That's what's important about the positioning of the ponytails. Same on the other side. And then, once we've established that length, then it's easy for us to work then with the gamma blades to create all of that texture. So just separate this ponytail into two. We're going to work about halfway down the lengths and ends of the ponytail, and then just work right out to the very ends. Just breaking all of that up, so that you have no solid lines and you have this really great torn texture. And the gamma blades really give you a a really different, entirely different kind of texture in the hair than the alpha or the beta blades do. Now here today we've been working on some finer texture and hair that is naturally curly. So the gamma blades have actually worked incredibly well for us, drying the hair first. And sometimes when you're working with naturally curly hair and they want to wear it straight, then it makes it much easier if you can dry the hair first and then cut it, because then you can see exactly where you're taking the hair out of, just like we're doing here. Just squeeze this hair so that you can see exactly where you're taking that hair out, so that you can really control the weight and the texture. You can see here that there's no solid lines in any of this hair, which is really important. And you have all that great texture. So same on the other ponytail. And it also makes it incredibly easy to create this kind of haircut, especially when you're only working on the ends of the hair, creating this texture but just on the ends of the hair. You're not working into any of the root, so the ponytail really allows you to create these shapes and textures incredibly fast, incredibly easy. You just need to know where you want to have the shortest point, which is here, not through the crown area like we did on Cassandra's hair, but through either side. You see how easy the gamma blades just slip through this hair. Again, just separate this, just squeeze the hair so that you really spread this all out to make sure you have no solid lines or any thick pieces. If it looks too thick, just work right out to the very ends. Make sure you don't have any thick pieces, because then you'll get weight and bulk once you drop this down, which you really don't want. So that's our haircut completed. Remove the bands and then just shake all of this out. You see how this gives us this great layering all through this back area, really nice texture. You still get to keep this heavy front, long, really choppy, but what an incredible shape you have in there now. You've got control through this back area with your length, but much more texture, much more volume all through here. So simple. So now we're going to work with the being rubber. We worked with the clay to blow dry her hair, and now just working with the being rubber, the gum. We want to create a little bit more texture and shine and separation. The clay that we blow the hair dry with really helps to bulk up the hair, chunk it up, really create a much thicker, chunkier texture, but with a low shine, not a high shine or a separation or definition. But the gum that we're using here is perfect for finishing on top of the clay, because this gives you a great sheen, separation, and just adds to that texture. So here on Maggie's hair, where she has that finer texture, naturally curly, blow drying with the clay to really bulk up that hair and give us that chunky texture. and then finishing with the gum to give us that sheen and the separation, and working with Being with the Tri-X complex to give you that real healthy hair, healthy scalp, is just a fabulous thing with this great modern look, which is really fantastic on Maggie.